What is life? Life is defined as an organic organism with the capacity for growth, reproduction, functional activity, and continual change, preceding death. This is life as we know it, but what about the rest of the universe? Are there other forms that can also be alive that we cannot possibly imagine? Crystals can do many things that life can do. Crystals can do lifelike things like replicate, respond to environmental stimuli, take on a pattern complexity. Obviously, they are not life, but it comes close, wouldn't you think? This brings up the question, would you be able to recognize life on other planets? They would more than likely have followed a different evolutionary route, which could create organisms beyond our understanding. Would we be able to recognize them as life? What does life need? Life on Earth needs 3 basic things to start. Source of energy. Complex chemistry. Benign environment. We can safely assume that life elsewhere in the universe will need these 3 things. Its energy source does not necessarily need to be a nearby star, but can come from within the planet, such as volcanic vents. It will need to be close enough to a star for liquid water to exist on its surface, because water is a good place for organic chemistry to occur. On Earth, life is carbon-based due to carbon being good at making long organic chains. Some people have suggested silicone-based life, but this would require a hot environment for this to be possible. But is it impossible? Life would need a star system that has very little to no chaos. So much like our solar system, we are not constantly being hit by asteroids or meteorites. A clean solar system would be a relatively benign environment for life to start its roots. Drake's equation. The Drake equation was made up by Frank Drake to try and see how many planets out in the universe could produce intelligent life. The equation is made up of 7 factors. When multiplying, they yield the number of societies that are now broadcasting signals that humans might be able to pick up. This equation of course calculates intelligent life, but simple life would, in my opinion, on any other planet besides Earth would be an amazing discovery. The calculation of the Drake equation shows that the odds of life being able to transmit signals are very low, but the odds are not 0. There is still a chance. Remember, this equation is for intelligent life. The chances of finding a simple to complex life are still high and reasonable to assume there is some out there. Statistical studies suggest that our galaxy has about 160 billion planets. This is just in the Milky Way. What are the odds that life could be found on just one of these? The odds of life existing on other planets are not as low as you think. We could have a few neighbors in our galaxy. Where to start looking? Some places to start looking without going too far are within our solar system. We might not find complex life, but just single-celled life is enough to say for certain that we are not alone in the universe, or multiverse. This would mean that if life could be found in the same solar system twice, that could mean life is more common than we thought. Looking at other star systems in our galaxy is also a good place to look for life. Planets give clues to what is found in them or around them. So, looking for specific markers is a good place to start. Markers of life. What should we look for? Start by looking near Sun-like stars with Earth-like planets near them. The reason why is that liquid water forms on Earth due to star size, distance, and the planet having water, of course. Once finding a planet that could hold life, we must start by looking for spectroscopic biomarkers. This method uses light and how it interacts with certain matter, in this case, looking for certain gases that show the planet has an atmosphere. The biomarkers we should look for are: molecular oxygen is generated by photosynthesis from starlight using CO2 and water. Ozone is a very good indicator to find life. Carbon dioxide is a good indicator that there is an atmosphere, and a good indicator that there is infrared absorption. Water vapor is water, and water is essential to life as we know it. And methane being present could be due to certain bacteria that produce this as a byproduct. This could also be a good indication of a simple life form. Methane has a strong infrared absorption, which indicates a strong atmosphere. Just because these biomarkers exist does not mean life exists there, but it's a good place to start looking. Wouldn't want to try on a gas planet, as life being able to form there would be very unlikely. Possible planet candidates. Some planets seem to be Earth-like and can be a good place to look for life. These planets are mainly bigger than Earth and some of their stars are smaller than our Sun, but since they are closer to their star, they are in what scientists call the habitable zone. This is the place where you want it to be if you want life to exist. Gliese 667cc is a planet that is 4.5 times bigger than the Earth, so it is massive and is 22 light-years from us. It orbits a dwarf star that lies close enough to possibly be in the habitable zone, allowing liquid water to form. Its orbit around the Sun is only 28 days, so its orbit speed is fast. Kepler-22b is about 600 light-years away from us and is also in the habitable zone. It is about 2.4 times bigger than the Earth. It has an orbit like Earth at 290 days around its star. Its star is also smaller and cooler than ours, but it lies in the habitable zone. Kepler-1649c is about 1.06 times larger than Earth and it receives about 75% of the light Earth does from the Sun. So, it's very close to the amount of light our planet gets from our star. Kepler-442b is 33% bigger than our planet. It is said to receive enough energy from its star to sustain a large biosphere. It goes around its star in about 112 days, about a third of our orbit. This planet is 1,194 light-years away from Earth. These are just some candidates, there are plenty more, and they may not hold life yet, but could one day or maybe have in the past. Knowing that they have some of the things needed to have life is more evidence that there could be life. What kind of life should we look for? If there is life out there, the most common would most likely be single-celled life forms. This is how life started on Earth, and while we don't know if it's common for life to become multicellular as we only have Earth to examine. There is more single-cell life on Earth than multicellular, so this should be a good indicator that it would be the first form of life we discover other than what exists on Earth. At this level, you can start seeing photosynthesis, which is what we need for some life at least on Earth. Just finding this would confirm the question, is there life out there? Multicellular life would be less common, but if found, this would be an incredible discovery as multicellular starts to become complex life. This would be groundbreaking as life like this means it could dedicate cells to do certain things, which is a huge leap toward what we all envision life to be on other planets. This could also mean some sort of vegetation lives there, maybe single-celled creatures and vegetation are all that live there. Large organisms are what we all envision when we think of life on another planet. Finding life like this would be so groundbreaking that not only would this stun scientists worldwide, but it would change so much of what people think and believe. This may not happen as life like this might prove to be extremely rare. Is life on other planets an unavoidable consequence of the universe? Like a deck of cards, it will eventually repeat if shuffled enough times. Maybe life too works on similar principles. Most planets do not win the life lottery, but eventually one or a few win, right? The elements we know that can make life in the universe are abundant, so it can be safely assumed that life could be very probable. We can already find amino acids in comets, like glycine, which is important to life on Earth. If comets like this exist across the universe, chances are planets have these same amino acids as well. Imagine we find life with similar chemistry as us, but with a totally different evolution direction. Just because they use similar chemistry as us does not mean it will look like anything on Earth. Would they even use DNA to replicate? These are all questions that might never be answered, at least in our lifetime. Reasons why aliens probably have never visited Earth. Planning interplanetary travel can prove to be very difficult. It can result in the use of a lot of resources and time. Time is the biggest obstacle. The distance needed to travel would take years, even lifetimes. If an alien life form would want to visit us, they would more than likely not send beings, as supporting them during the trip would prove expensive. They would more than likely send rover-like vehicles, which would be smaller and easier to send. It would also consume a lot fewer resources than sending actual beings. We don't know if any other life exists near us at this moment. Life in other parts of the universe is very probable. The question is when. They could have lived in the past, or maybe have not yet developed enough to even contemplate any scientific questions. To discover or communicate with life on other planets, our civilization's time of existence would have to overlap in time. Another theory that says advanced civilizations will more than likely not want to expand on travel to other planets is the use of energy. They might get to the point where the expansion of technology is so strong that they can no longer fulfill their energy needs for it. At this point, they might prioritize homeostasis instead of cosmic expansion. They might still have some space exploration, but not at the scale of traveling through the whole galaxy. It just wouldn't make sense to waste too many resources. If they did, they would eventually collapse. If they are truly intelligent and wise, they will prioritize societal well-being. This could be the reason why we haven't been visited yet. They are simply happy where they are and find no feasible need to travel extreme distances to do this. As far as we know, there isn't life out there. We appear to be unique. If we eventually do find life other than what exists on Earth, then many people would have to rethink their belief system. Finding life other than Earth could have major, but positive philosophical repercussions that could bring us together as a species. For too long have we let differences in belief divide us. This discovery could unite us all to work toward a common goal. Still, we haven't found life out there yet, and this shouldn't discourage us from looking. Science is still in its infancy, let us not get discouraged. As long as we are here, for the brief moment in time that we are given, we should appreciate that we are alive, that we can experience and learn about this vast universe we live in. Remember, the truth is out there.